It's a Conspiracy is a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown and community supported. For other fun programming, please check out Alberta Podcast Network, where you can find shows like The Quantum Kickflip. Hiya!
I guess we're good to go. We all
get at her.
Okay, cool. Welcome back to everyone. Okay.
Just brilliant as usual.
Take two. Okay. All right. Holy.
It must be. It's a conspiracy. Here's Andrew.
Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind select conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today, and will probably be wrong about everything because I just got off of a weekend of St. Paddy's gigs, and I'm exhausted. My pipes are broken, and my fingers are killing me because I haven't done this many, it's been years with this whole apocalypse thing that I haven't done a lot of gigs, so my everything is sore.
You just had to play so many notes.
I was like, no, I'm going to take it easy this year. And then I had a few offers, and the reptile part of my brain's like, I want some money. I want it. So it was fun, but I'm hurting. As always, if you'd like to see which leading tones resolve our cadences, then please check out the episode description. Charlie has melodies, sweet and fine, to share with you in his secret garden. He's got a little tea time party set ready to go for you, and all you need to bring is your little party hat. So, yeah, wow. You do have that soundboard fired up. It's we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Yay team, yay friends, yay squad. You can check us out at itsconspiracypodcast.com. Our Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by the social media influencer Scottish Madman, and he's actually coming to Edmonton like in a couple days. It's amazing.
I feel like you've said this for 4 seasons now.
I know.
It's been a while.
Coming soon.
It's actually happening. Yeah. I'm going to pick him up at the air depot, as he says.
The air
I don't know
depot.
if he says that. Yeah, the air. He might say that. I'm not sure. Our Facebook group, our Instagram page, It's a Conspiracy Podcast. That's run by Gorgeous Greg. Our email and our Patreon page, patreon.com/
It's a conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. Now, ready then, joining the online distance communication time today is kindly Lord Charlie and the triumphant return of our good friend, Joe Johnson. Yay. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We wish we would have you all the time. Yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. These tender bears of care, they will interject as they see fit. And I do so appreciate the socially distanced digital company. We're all in this together. It's a bit of a different format today, as we'll be talking about the saucy secrets of the music biz. Maybe we can just take turns saying what we're going to discuss today. Is that easier than me saying, like Charlie with something?
Whatever you wanna do, buddy.
Well, I don't know what you're going to talk about.
Surprise.
Let's briefly introduce. So, for example, today I'm going to talk about 5 musicians who mysteriously disappeared.
Ooh.
Okay.
And
Well,
Charlie,
I'll tell you. I'll go next. Now, I'm going to take you on a love roller coaster, baby.
Oh, nice. All right. And Joe.
I'm gonna speak about Kathy Sundown Smith, as I like to call her.
Sundown.
Nailed it.
Nice. Charlie, can you be with like a sweet 80s, like, yeah, or like a no. So have you heard
I
of?
already know what they are. We've just gone through
We
them.
just talked about it, but
Yeah.
Are you familiar with 5 people who mysteriously disappeared?
No.
Okay, are you familiar with love coasters, love roller coasters?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with Sundown Smith?
No.
Oh, that was satisfying.
That was amazing. I knew you'd deliver on that. There we go. So subject number 1, 5 musicians who have mysteriously disappeared. Now, a lot of fans over the years have heard of the infamous 27 Club. So that's one that includes Robert Johnson, Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Freaky Ta, Anton Yelchin, and Amy Winehouse. But there is another, albeit smaller, group of famous musicians who have simply disappeared without a trace. Are they dead? Maybe. Did they just get sick of it all and run away? Maybe. Are some of them hiding out in Charlie's garage? Probably.
Shh, quiet.
Should I have written about the 27 Club instead of this?
Maybe.
Maybe. Sounds.
Possibly.
So number 1, this is Richie Edwards.
Was that a grocery store scanner over his guitar? I know nobody else can see this, but we can see it. That's not how those work.
I mean, the strings
I've tried
sort
it.
of resemble a barcode, I suppose.
The lady at Walmart told me to jog on.
We've told you before. You had your warning. Yeah. Charlie, can you actually fire up the Wayback Machine out of curiosity? Do you have that ready to go?
You betcha.
Like the 90s Wayback Machine?
Sounds a lot like the 80s Wayback Machine.
So it's July 1994. Thank you. We are in Muskogee Park in Grand Prairie, Alberta. It's Canada Day. A young, full of hope Andrew is riding his little bicycle along the trails to go to the outdoor pool to go swimming with his little friends. And a beautiful sunny day. Over top of the cheering kids, the splashing water, the sizzling hot dogs, he can hear the haunting sounds of the song that we just listened to, which is called If We Tolerate This, Then Our Children Will Be Next. Magic moment. The song is courtesy of the Manic Street Preachers and was a huge hit that summer. And to be honest, the thing that stuck out to me was like, it was like the dirge of the grunge era at that time, which was amazing. But I was like, is that a like happy melody happening? And like, it wasn't just power chords, and a little bit of a break from that. It was a magic moment. In February of 1995, Richie Edwards, who was the singer of the Manic Street Preachers, was supposed to board a flight to the US to promote the album mentioned previously. So they put out a new album. That song was a big hit. And the people in the States were like, why don't you come over and play a couple of shows for us? Let's give you some money.
That's quite an
And he
American
was
accent.
the US of A. He did not show up when he was supposed to be there and was quickly reported as missing. His car was found 16 days later near Severn Bridge, which unfortunately is a popular suicide location. He has been reported in the years since, and people have, I saw him partying in Bolivia. It was awesome. We got to hang out with him, but nothing has ever actually officially ever surfaced. And he was declared dead in absentia in 2008.
Absentia.
Yep. Absentia. So number 2 here, I've got, this lady has so many names and all of them are hard to say. So her name is Christina Licorice McKechnie, aka Licky Lambert.
That's not hard to say.
So that's a little bit, yeah.
That string band is incredible.
They are the incredible string band, and they are incredible. Scottish group based out of Edinburgh, and their front person was Christina Licorice McKechnie, aka Licky Lambert, which Charlie, Lord of Talking, it sounds, is able to say without tripping on himself. And I will aspire. Yeah. After the band broke up, McKechnie moved to the US and settled in California. She continued performing and songwriting there for a few more years and collaborated with artists like Robin Williamson and Brian Lambert. Her final recorded performance was in 1977 on the hit album Journey's Edge. After this, things get very quiet for her, and fans started to wonder if she had retired or she'd maybe returned to Scotland for a reunion with the incredible string band. They approached her family and they were like, actually, last time we saw her was about 1986, and she said that she was going to go try hitchhiking in Arizona. And we told her it was a bad idea, but she wanted to go hitchhike in Arizona.
Wow.
So theories began to circulate that she had tragically ended up murdered by someone who picked her up. And the family did end up reporting her as missing. And they're like, yeah, we haven't seen her. Last thing she said was that hitchhiking thing. This rumor sat for over 30 years until an unsubstantiated Facebook post showed up claiming that Christina McKechnie, aka Licky Lambert, was alive and well and living in California and was not dead in the desert somewhere. So she's like, "Hey, I'm okay." And then people obviously started inquiring, and they didn't say anything after that. So somebody came up, claimed to be her, said I'm fine, and I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to go back into the fog. So yeah.
So it was like, hey, you know, that thing I was doing, that hitchhiking, it was just successful. It just took a little while, but I finally got here and I'm okay. And now just leave me alone. Don't talk to me.
Ixter didn't happen.
Yeah. So this one here, this is number 3, Jim Sullivan. So here's a little bit of Jim Sullivan's 1969 hit UFO.
To be. I bought me a ticket, got a front row seat. I'm checking out the show with a glassy eye, looking at the sun dancing through the sky. Did he come by you?
Pretty cool stuff.
You turned it off right before he said the tagline.
The tagline.
He was going to say UFO.
What? Was that what he was going to say?
That's the name of the song. Or was it?
Or was it? Exactly. So singer-songwriter Jim Sullivan, famous for blending rock, folk, and country in the LA folk circuit, was a minor celebrity in the late 1960s. His albums garnered praise, and he was actually featured in the 1969 cult classic Easy Rider alongside Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, and Jack Nicholson. Last time I saw Dennis Hopper was when we watched the Mario Brothers movie for our Friday night club. Wow. Yeah.
Masterpiece.
Yeah. Anyways.
So versatile.
Yeah. Well, you know, and a paycheck will make you do things. In March 1975, Jim Sullivan's VW Bug was found. That's probably the sweetest vehicle ever made. It was found near his hotel in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. And immediately the stories of suicide began to circulate. But a darker theory emerged that he may have run afoul of the mafia. So his UFO album didn't do as well as it was supposed to have done. And apparently some of the financing may have come from the mafia. And they may have been like, hey, you didn't sell enough records. So here's some bullets.
Now what you're saying is Jim sleeps with the fishes.
Yeah. The other theory, of course, is that since his album was called UFO, he may have been abducted by aliens.
That's the one I'm going with.
So Forrest Shaw, better known as DY. There we go.
Okay.
I'll be your passenger.
That was nice.
It's sweet, right? He was hard to say. He was a Canadian rapper based out of Vancouver. He became known across the country at the young age of 14 with the help of a big hit called Passenger, which is what we just listened to. It features an artist named Danny Fernandez. And in 2010, he visited his parents, telling them that he was off to Mexico. And he had like a record deal going on, some promotions deal. And after that conversation, he was never heard from again. Now, it is unclear if he ever made it to Mexico or not, but the promotions group and recording companies in question that were waiting for him reported that he never showed up. And again, and sadly, kind of due to some of the stereotypes that surround the rap industry, the suggestion was made that an element of organized crime decided to get rid of him for an undisclosed reason. But since his song was called Passenger, I think he was abducted by aliens.
Oh, man.
Right?
Again.
That makes more sense. Yeah. So it's damn aliens.
It was aliens.
Every time.
Every time with the aliens. Come on. Okay.
It's the tractor beams. That's what gets you.
Tractor beams. There should be a country song right there called like something
tractor
about
beams.
tractor beams.
John Deere. Oh, I'm literally writing that down as we speak. Tractor beams.
Tractor beams. Yeah, on the farm. So here's our last one here, number 5. And there are 5. Thank you, Charlie. Come on. Like, just gonna
I appreciate
pat myself on the back.
Your proper counting, even though you can do this on one hand.
I appreciate that you appreciate that. That makes me feel
So much
better about myself.
appreciation.
So this is Glenn Miller. So smooth. So Glenn Miller, trombone player extraordinaire, composer, band leader supreme, my dad's favorite musician. He was an enormously popular musician throughout the 1930s and 40s, and his repertoire essentially created that kind of glorious World War II big band sound. If you're hearing that and your toe isn't tapping or you're not snapping your fingers, like something's wrong with it. You know what I mean? It just sounds fantastic.
I was dancing after you finished playing it. I was just playing it in my head.
No dancing.
Dance all you want. They can't see us.
Stop me, man. Try and stop me.
Now, one of the most fascinating aspects of his career was that Glenn Miller and his group would regularly travel throughout war zones within the European theater. So they would be like scheduled to like go play gigs at hangars, all kinds of places in active war zone. This ended up leading to a flight from England to France in December of 1944. So Miller's flight mysteriously vanished over the English Channel, and no wreckage or evidence of any kind has ever surfaced to definitively state what happened. So he left England, and they're like, "All righty, Glenn, we'll see you over in France." And then the people in France were like, "Where is he? Where'd he go?" Now, due to Miller's prominence, a number of theories have come up through the years suggesting what may have happened. The day in question was particularly foggy, and it's quite possible that the pilot simply got lost, maybe crashed into the water. A faulty engine may have been the issue, or perhaps the plane was accidentally shot down in an instance of friendly fire, which was then covered up in the aftermath. So they were like, "We thought you were a bad guy and we shot you down, and we're sorry about that. And we'll just keep that a little secret." Yeah. Now, one theory
that those are the only options you're going to give.
Oh,
And
there's
aliens.
other options here. Yeah. The aliens. I mean, obviously
the
there's
last
aliens.
one.
There you go.
Yeah.
The aliens came and got him. Sorry, I should have started off with the aliens.
It's so foggy. Aliens
Wait.
swoop right in.
Yeah. Now, one theory was that a number of supporters have, been like really sitting on this for a few years. They say that Miller was actually operating as a secret spy during his concerts. So that's what he was actually doing. He'd go around and do these performances, but then he would start doing spy things between, like just straight up.
Who was he spying for?
He was spying for the U.S. He was a
For the
secret
US.
agent.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, going in there, a trombone case full of machine guns. It's
I've seen
Miller's
that
time. Oh, so good. That'd be amazing.
I think his catchphrase, well, this'll get you in the mood.
Now, if this was true, then it's possible that the sort of extension of this theory was that the real Miller, the genuine Miller, the Miller genuine, he was actually captured, imprisoned, and assassinated. Then he was replaced with a double, and that was the one that was on the flight to France. Then the double attempted to take over the flight, which resulted in the crash. And everybody was like, let's never tell anyone that Glenn Miller actually had a double that hijacked the plane. So that's one of the theories. And then, of course, there is the lingering theory that Miller actually did make it to Paris and headed straight to his favorite brothel, where something occurred and he ended up dying of a heart attack. And then this cover story was of the plane crash was meant to cover up and save everybody's reputation. So the reputation of Glenn Miller, reputation of the U.S. government, reputation of brothels, every reputation of Paris, reputations. You know what I mean?
Reputation.
Mm-hmm. But aliens. I'm liking that double theory, but maybe it was probably aliens.
It was aliens.
Yeah. So in any event, 86 years later, nothing has ever been resolved. No wreckage, no bodies, no trombones floating in the water, nothing. Just vanished. And that is 5 musicians who mysteriously disappeared.
All 5 of them.
Now, Charlie, that's going to take us to what are we drinking here? So what
are we drinking? What are we drinking? Well, coming fresh off of a St. Patrick's Day episode, I, of course, popped out after we talked about it and picked myself up a pack of Guinness Draft. The story of Guinness Draft, rich and creamy, distinctively black, velvety in its finish, this iconic beer is defined by harmony. Sip after sip, sweet counters bitter as the malt arrives on cue to complement a base of roasted barley. Just as the unmistakable white head sits flush atop the dark beer, so do the flavors counter and combine perfectly. This is our greatest innovation, truly unique, perfectly balanced, made of more. So smooth.
Alrighty. And Joe, have you got what are we?
I do. Yeah. So
already here.
I had a gig here not long ago at Romero Distilling in Calgary, Alberta, and I got myself a bottle of their gold award winning in 2021 dark rum. So this stuff has matured in once used bourbon casks from Woodford Reserve in Kentucky, spiced with vanilla, cardamom, nutmeg, clove, Sri Lankan cinnamon, and cracked pepper, and back sweetened with a combination of fancy and backstrap molasses. The spices and molasses combine to create a unique flavor that you have to taste to understand. And I just enjoy that I'm not drinking it right this moment.
It looks like he's drinking it out of his it's a conspiracy mug that you can get on at oldmandesign.com.
So good. I had a little nightcap, and it would go really nicely with this coffee. That whole place, if you want to talk conspiracies and stories, there's a good story behind this one that I got. I'm just going to put it in my back pocket. We're going to save it for later, okay. But it is a good one. My favorite, and they got cocktails at the bar. They got the Blairmore Hotel cocktail. It's fantastic. So if you're going down there, check out their cocktail menu. Blairmore Hotel cocktail is to die for. And recently partnered with Romero Distilling, Brett, the Hitman Hart, a world champion partnership made in Canada. So these guys are beauties.
You had me at Brett the Hitman Hart.
I should have started with that. I thought rum would get everybody in the mood, but
the man is a legend, Andrew.
He absolutely is. And he's like, I've still got the thunder.
Mm-hmm.
I was out as well on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. One of the places I went to, they were celebrating St. Patrick's Day, and they wanted to have a local brewery do up like a black ale. And so they were selling Village Brewery's Village Blacksmith. And the description is a dark, flavorful ale with notes of chocolate, espresso, and licorice. This award-winning beer is known for its exceptional balance of dark malt and medium bitterness. And I just have to show the can here because this is where I was like, yes, please. This can is incredible. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
Yeah, just real nice, real classy.
Uncanny.
Yeah, Village, they're a Calgary-based one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the ones, they actually partnered with Romero Distilling. I think it was with their blacksmith. They combined that with some rum and made like an on tap beer. It was fantastic as well. So good, support local, have some good, delicious libations.
Well, that's going to take us to ad number one.
Ad number one.
Hi there, I'm Brendan, a certified home inspector with Rumi. Do you have a problem that needs fixing? Whether it's big or small, inside or outside, let me help you find out what's really going on. You can call me by phone, or we can take a look together over video chat. Visit rumi.ca, that's RUMI.ca, and go to Ask a Home Inspector to book your appointment with me today.
Okay, so we are back, and this is subject number 2. Show me what you got.
Hey, all right, for this next quick music myth, we're going to jump all the way back to 1975 with the Ohio Players and the song Love Roller Coaster off of the album Honey. Released as a single on November 9th, 1975, the song was a #1 hit and went on to become a gold record. But that's not all. The song is also subject to a persistent urban legend. During an instrumental part of the song, a faint, high-pitched scream can be heard in the background of this track. The scream seems buried enough in the track that many think it was accidentally left in the final product. There are a few different stories as to what may have happened here. One version says that it's the sound of a girl falling out of a roller coaster and screaming as she plummets to her death. Another version of the story is that a rabbit was killed outside of the studio and its scream was picked up by the recording equipment. So it's all really light stuff, as you can see. But the most popular version of the story, which puts both of these first two to shame, is that the scream in question is the sound of someone being murdered. The specifics of the who and the how vary from person to person. Some say the victim was someone's girlfriend. Some say it was a cleaning lady. Some say it was the scream of Playboy magazine's October 1974 Playmate of the Month, Esther Cordet, the same model that poses nude, covered in honey, on the album cover. The How goes on to explain that the model was possibly badly burned by a hot batch of honey. Or, the most gruesome version that I've found, which I dug up specifically for you, Andrew. According to the story of a Californian DJ, this woman was the model who appeared on the album cover. She was kneeling on glass and pouring honey in her mouth, and while she was doing it, she found out that the glass was actually fiberglass, and the honey reacted with the fiberglass by sticking to her legs and ripping off all her skin.
Oh, dear
She
Lord.
she went into the manager's studio while the band was still recording and threatened to sue the band, which is when the manager stabbed her to death.
No, please!
The band left in the scream as a cruel joke. Take that all the way to the extreme rumor mill. Have you guys heard of this myth before?
I've heard the scream. I had
I
no
heard the
idea.
scream, yeah. That's a heck of a punchline. Surprise.
The manager just ready to go with his knife.
Well, just for everyone else who maybe hasn't heard it, here is the clip.
Oh yeah.
It's down there. It's low in the mix. Mm-hmm. Here, I've got another clip that kind of brings it up a little bit more. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think that's like a sound of a rabbit?
That is a creepy scream now that if I hadn't known the story of like the lady melted to death covered in fiberglass.
Fiberglass?
Yeah. I might not have thought such dark things. But wow.
There's a good choice leaving it in. I mean, it really suits. Yeah, like that adds there's some complexity there. It's adding some layers.
So what do you think the band did about this? Yeah.
Did they neither? Oh, I guess this would be an example. I mean, if we're gonna elaborate on this a little bit, I think they might have embraced it Beatles style and been like, yeah, this thing that people are saying, we're not really gonna, confirm nor deny, and just hopefully sell some records.
Sure. Good call. Now, at the time when asked about the scream, the band would only answer no comment, claiming that they had taken a vow of silence about the incident, quote, the incident. The legend was making the rounds, and they were surely enjoying the publicity buzz that helped them sell records. Remember, this was also a time before people could go and fact-check things on the internet. However, the truth, or convenient cover story, did later come out that nobody was murdered at all while the Ohio players were still in the studio on that fated day, and that the scream belonged to keyboardist Billy Beck, who was simply adding a bit more flavor to the track. Drummer Jimmy Diamond Williams later went on record to say that nothing so sinister or violent actually happened during the recording of the song, which shouldn't surprise anyone. The DJ made this crack and it swept the country. People were asking us, "Did you kill this girl in the studio?" Williams said, noting that the mystique and legend circulated was actually pretty good for business. The band took a vow of silence because, hey, you sell more records that way. Any which way you spin it, this myth was a hit. Back to you, Andy.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think that's the sound you make when the tractor beam's pulling you up through the music studio roof, right? Like just crashing through the ceiling. There it is. Yep. See,
God.
it was aliens again.
When you tell the story, like if you're like, damn, people like a pterodactyl flew into the studio and was ripping people apart. We just left it in. We thought it was funny. Once you hear the actual story, it's not quite as, yeah.
That's why you got to lead with the fiberglass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know my thoughts about fiberglass too.
Fiberglass and honey.
Oh, wow.
Somebody's
two
getting
things
for
I hate.
Christmas.
Well, on that cheery note, that's advertisement numero 2.
This episode of It's a Conspiracy is brought to you by Pod Power. With Pod Power, our sponsors are making it possible for us to amplify the voices of Albertans and Alberta podcasters. This episode, Edmonton Community Foundation, is helping us give a Pod Power shout out to Bookwomen. Bookwomen is a podcast about editing, publishing, and writing Indigenous stories. 3 Métis librarians representing nations from across the homeland aim to inspire Indigenous people to share their stories in whatever form that they enjoy. Guests include Indigenous storytellers from diverse mediums like podcasting, burlesque, books, comics, social media, films, music, and everything in between. You can listen and find out more at bookwomenpodcast.ca.
Alrighty, and we're back. We are at subject number 3 with our good friend Joe.
Hello again. Here we go. We've got Kathy Sundown. I'm calling her this, Kathy Sundown Smith, because that's the one I'm connecting it the most that way. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5 little sections here. So number 1, we're going to go through her timeline, the band baby. In the early 1960s, Smith was a backup singer and songwriter, but became mostly known as a common or garden groupie. Her first high-profile relationship was with the musician Levon Helm. Levon would eventually make a name for himself in the legendary group The Band, but when he met Kathy, he was still a struggling journeyman with a band known as the Hawks. That was 1963, and by the time the band had formulated and begun to gather some momentum, Kathy Smith was still very much on the scene. Thanks to a successful gig as the backing band for newly electrified Bob Dylan, the band was on the cusp of mainstream success. Kathy was still touring with them and partying hard. It was in the late 60s, and she became pregnant with what was then known as the band baby. The reason? No one could say for sure who the father was, though they knew it was one of the band. Kathy insisted she was certain that Levon Helm was the father. However, Richard Manuel, the pianist, offered to marry her, but she graciously declined. At that point in her life, Kathy was not cut out for monogamy. She was larger-than-life character leading an outrageous rock and roll lifestyle, and she'd even been immortalized by a brief mention in the lyrics to the band's biggest hit and one of the greatest rock songs of all time, The Weight. 2 possibilities in terms of the lyrical content. There is a story about the girl who helped these guys out of a drug bust in Canada in the early 60s by blackmailing a cop who was the chief witness by lying and saying she was only 14 after the band had persuaded her to perform some sexual favors for the cop. Not a great story. No. The second one is members of the band simply stepping up to offer and take the load or sharing some of the responsibilities with Kathy for the band baby. And there are other possibilities as well, but those were just two of the main ones, but there's a lot of speculation out there. So we'll just leave those to the imagination. Here is a little clip from The Weight.
Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. And you put the load right on me.
There you go.
Nice.
Let's fade out.
Just have to get the whole ending there with the singing, because it's kind of nice. Because I mean, all members of the band, the backup vocals are saying, "Put the load on me, put the load on me," and they don't know who the dad is, so it's all of them. They're all singing.
Oh, that's okay. I see.
No.
Nice.
Okay. Moving on to the 70s. Gordon Lightfoot, Section 2. It was early 70s when Kathy Smith started working for Gordon Lightfoot. In the 70s, Lightfoot was a married man, but that did not stop him from engaging in a fiery affair with Kathy. The relationship was tempestuous, to say the least, and brought out a fiercely jealous streak in Lightfoot. He's reported to have fired his opening act, the Good Brothers, after catching them flirting with Kathy Smith backstage. So, I mean, she was a hit all her own. Lightfoot's biggest hit, Sundown, is said to be a raw and personal account of his extramarital liaisons with Kathy and the jealousy that ensued from them. It is a song of paranoia, obsession, and tormented love that resonates strongly to this day. Here's a little bit of Sundown.
I can see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care.
Instantly recognizable.
Can I just say that I appreciate that you have picked out a specific portion of the song to show us and actually let it finish its thought before nicely fading out?
Just a second.
He's got to at least say sundown, right? I mean, you don't want to cut it off right before he says UF.
Hey, hold on now. We're all works in progress, Charlie.
In a 1975 interview, Lightfoot expanded upon Sundown and hinted at the worry he experienced in his relationship with Smith. Quotes, "All it is, a thought about a situation where someone is wondering what his loved one is doing at that moment. He doesn't quite know where she is. He's not ready to give up on her either. And that's all I've got to say about that." In 2014, Lightfoot added further insight into his writing on Sundown. I love, this is my favorite. Quote, "Well, I had this girlfriend one time. Then I was at home working at my desk, working at my songwriting, which I'd been doing all week since I was on a roll. And my girlfriend was somewhere drinking. So I was hoping that no one else would get their hands on her because she was pretty good looking. And that's how I wrote the song Sundown. And as a matter of fact, it was written just around sundown, just as the sun was setting, behind the farm I had rented to use as a place to write the album." So he kind of distracted himself there at the end of the quote, but that's all it is. He's just sitting around by himself, hoping that no one is getting their hands on his lady. Okay, now we're going to get to the dark stuff with Kathy Smith.
Oh yeah.
Section number 3. We're going in now into the timeline is going into the late 1970s, and you know it's not good when the line starts as such. Smith began using heroin in the late 1970s.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Here we go.
In Bob Woodward's book, Wired, she appears as a drug dealer to Rolling Stones band members Ron Wood and Keith Richards. During their touring and rehearsals as the New Barbarians, she moved out to LA, and as her addiction increased, she became a full-time drug dealer and courier to Woods, Richards, and others in the entertainment world. So she's getting in there with some big names. Smith first met comedian John Belushi on the set of Saturday Night Live in 1976 when the band were the musical guests. So we've got our Rolling Stones connection. Now we're going to move to section 4. John Belushi.
It wasn't my fault, I swear to God!
She later met Belushi again through Woods and Richards. When Belushi contacted her to purchase the drugs that eventually killed him, Smith claimed that she injected Belushi with 11 speedballs, a combination of cocaine and heroin, at the Chateau Marmont in Hollywood, California in 1982, and that this injection led to his death. According to Woodward, Robin Williams and Robert De Niro were also on the scene at the time, and Williams was quoted as saying he was creeped out by Smith, who he deemed as a lowlife. Smith had been paid for a front page headline story in a Hollywood tabloid, The National Enquirer, where she stated that she was in fact the person who injected Belushi with a fatal drug overdose. And in a 1986 plea bargain, she pleaded no contest to involuntary manslaughter and several drug charges and served a 15-month prison sentence at California Institution for Women. Upon release, she was deported to her native Canada, where she reportedly took a job in Toronto as a legal secretary. Recently, August 16th, 2020, Smith passed away in her home in Maple Ridge, BC, at the age of 73. According to the Globe and Mail, she'd been on oxygen and in failing health for the past few years. But this lady is just someone who had an immense impact on rock and roll, on popular culture as we know it, influencing such songs as The Wait and Sundown, and, you know, being around characters such as the Rolling Stones, the SNL crew, even like names like Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. Like these are massive heavyweights of the entertainment world. And she was just in there. And I think that just goes, I mean, she's known mostly as the person who killed the Belushi, but at the same time, you know, like as one of these groupies, there's a whole history there. And they definitely played their part in terms of their inspiration towards a lot of the art that we know and love today.
Mm-hmm.
And to be said, she was not just a groupie. She was also a writer as well. So I've got one more little song to show you here. She co-wrote a song with Hoyt Axton called Flash of Fire.
Hell yeah, Hoyt Axton.
And it's a gooder. It's a good toe tapper.
Death, my friend, with the things you say and do. So I'm going to heaven in a flash of fire, with or without you. Hey, going to heaven in a flash of fire, with or without you. Easy come.
Oh.
So an absolute toe tapper. Absolute toe tapper.
Yeah. That's some baby making music right there, man.
Yeah. So Songwriter, groupie to the stars. Her IMDb page lists her. She's got one acting credit as well for a 1971 film, Joe Hill, in which she played a character named Kathy. And she's got a self credit for an 86 documentary, No Contest, also known as The Life and Times of Kathy Evelyn Smith. She's also got writing and performing credits for 2 movie soundtracks, the 1970 film The Magic Garden of Stanley Sweetheart and the 2009 film Away We Go. And she co-wrote the book Chasing the Dragon, 1984, which told her life story, and the title alludes to Smith's heroin addiction. So she's all over. She's all over the map. But this is someone I thought her story was worth telling, and not just the Belushi phase, but all of the other elements that kind of go along with it.
It's weird to think that someone came out of being incarcerated and was like deported back to Canada, and then a law office in Toronto was like, "Hey, come, here's a job for you."
Yeah.
Like that usually is not how that goes.
Believe in second chances.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what Canada's all about, just believing in second chances. Here you go. Righty then, harmonizing barber friends. Thank you so much for swinging by. We sure do appreciate your company. And we do indeed hope that you will be back with us on April 1st for our 17th for our next episode, whichever number it happens to be. In the meantime, if you're needing some chains and whips on your frosted tips, then slide into our past casts and social media stuff at itsconspiracypodcast.com. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. It was awesome to have you in again, man.
Yeah.
Thanks again for having me, guys.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
She seems tractor beams, it's those damn aliens is what she sees. What the hell? I'm caught some kind of damn tractor beam.